make it 3.
Going for the St. Louis now.
Oh, no.
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and I can't tell you how long I have been waiting for British ships so I could play Rule Britannia. Oh man, I love this song. Anyway, British cruisers are here in-game. I know they came out yesterday, October 20th. I obviously didn't get a video out yesterday. I was feeling pretty lazy after work. In fact, felt like doing other things, so I went out and did some things, and it was amazing. But anyway, British cruisers. They're interesting. I'm at tier 5 in the Emerald. I had 33,000 experience, free experience, you know, just saved up there, just sitting. I was actually going to use it either on the Moskva or on the Bismarck to get the, or on the Guys-Now to get the Bismarck. But I decided, whatever, I'll just spend it on British cruisers, and then that way I don't have to play through tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. And those are really the tiers that I dislike the most. I just find the gameplay at lower tier to be not so great. And I know a lot of people really enjoy the gameplay at lower tier, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with enjoying it. There's nothing wrong with not enjoying it. But it's just not my cup of tea. Anyway, get up my way to the Emerald. And she looks cool. I do like the look of the British cruisers. The British cruisers are fairly nice looking, aesthetically pleasing. And of course, there's still, for me anyway, there's still the whole newness associated with them, so I'm still kind of all googly-eyed over them. But that, you know, does quickly wear down. It does quickly go away. And then you have the reality of the British cruisers that you need to deal with and you need to adjust to in order to make it work. The battle we're looking at here is my maybe 5th battle in this ship. And where we are with the ship itself is I do not have the hull upgrade, I do not have the torpedo upgrade, but what I do have is the range upgrade. Yes, I have the range upgrade on this thing, which is great. I really, really needed the range upgrade. Without the range upgrade, it was very hard to play the ship. Now, when a British cruiser gets hit, at least this British cruiser, it might get better at higher tiers, no idea, although I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't. There is very, very good chance that you are just going to die. Especially if the hits you're taking are from a battleship. Even if it's like just one of those stray shells from a battleship that just happens to hit you, it'll probably do a citadel, probably do about half your health. So essentially, you can only afford to take 2 hits from any large ship at all. It's very difficult. Now, the British cruisers do come with smoke. They do come with smoke themselves, and I would highly recommend you get the premium consumable for the smoke. But you need to be careful with the smoke, right? I just popped my smoke. The smoke doesn't have a very long charge at all on it. Look at that. Pop the smoke, and I didn't slow down enough. And, you know, I did the normal thing that you would do in any other ship as it was before the British cruisers. I'd throttle all the way down to reverse, pop my smoke, and as I'm slowing down, the smoke would slowly catch up with me and I'd have a nice line there and I'd be enveloped. British cruisers, no. No. The charge on it is so short that when you hit your smoke, you need to be maybe already at half speed. If you're at full speed coming to a stop, you're just going to continue to sail right through your smoke and you'll end up stopping outside the smoke and the enemy team will see you and you will die. Which is almost what we saw here. You can see I did manage to get myself back into the smoke. But like I say, this is my 5th battle in this ship. It did take a few battles to figure things out here because there were definitely moments in those other battles where I was just wondering what the hell is this crazy ship here. But I was slowly figuring it out. So the smoke, you do really need to be careful and you want as much smoke as you possibly can. The second that you run out of your smoke charges altogether, your options are incredibly limited because you can no longer you can't afford to be seen in the ship. You can't afford to be focused. Even by one ship, you cannot afford to be focused. They will do a bunch of damage to you. Now, the one thing the British cruisers does have going for them is their ability to kill destroyers. It is pretty fantastic. The British cruisers, obviously, as we know, only have armor-piercing rounds. The armor-piercing rounds are quote-unquote modified special rounds used by the Royal Navy. I've never actually looked into it, never actually done the research to figure out if the Royal Navy were using, you know, special armor-piercing rounds. I wouldn't be surprised if they were, to be honest. But that being said, I sort of assumed that every nation had some sort of uniqueness to the rounds that they were firing. So, you know, I'd be more surprised to learn that it was only the British using these special armor-piercing rounds. I think the fact that, you know, it's just armor-piercing in the game as we see it is a band-aid that Wargaming decided to put on the British cruisers. I have no inside information, make that clear. I don't know. This is purely speculation on my behalf. I have no idea. Maybe the armor piercing was planned all along and then this is exactly how they wanted. I don't know. But it doesn't feel that way right now anyway to me. At this tier. Now again, tier 5 is still an early tier, so it's very possible that I just need to work my way up to some higher tiers here, which I'm excited to do. I am excited to play through these British cruisers. And this is the first fully light cruiser line that we have in the game. We see a plane up there in the sky, and I noticed it, and I think it's a glitch. We'll take a closer look at it here shortly. Once I see it, I zoom in on it, so I'm not 100% sure what was going on there, but whatever. back to the light cruisers. So this is the first light cruiser line, fully light cruiser line that we see in game. And way back when, you might recall in some of my really early videos, I had talked about how, you know, speculating on the end of, or, you know, a fully completed nation tech tree, what we could expect to see from that. And I, you know, had said that we would have full light cruiser lines, we'd have full heavy cruiser lines, we'd have full battleship lines, obviously. We might have some partial battle cruiser lines. I don't know if they could get a full battle cruiser line, maybe. We would have, I still expect to have like escort carriers and fleet carriers. I think there would be that distinction. I think that that's really far off, obviously. And we also see it with our destroyers. We have, at least with the Japanese destroyers, we have the basically pure torpedo boats, and then we have a new branch coming that is going to feature more guns to them, right? So they're going to be more close to a gunboat. So I do definitely expect there to be more British cruisers coming, and I expect them to be the heavy cruiser versions, because the British definitely did have some heavy cruisers. But too, I mean, they did make use of a lot of light cruisers. If the British Empire was huge, the light cruisers were fast, and if you had enough of them, right, they were able to get in there and get the job done, essentially. Hard pressed, but still able to do it. Anyway, so yeah, the armor piercing and the British cruisers, I'm slowly working into them now, thinking about it. We can see this enemy British cruiser off on in my targets here, or in my sights here, and this player is coming to a stop, and you can see he has sailed out of the smoke. And this is exactly what is going to happen if you pop your smoke and you're at full speed. That is what you can expect to happen. Do a number of citadels to the player. Player is gone basically instantly. Now we're going to try and take out the enemy destroyer here once again. Pretty good distance away, so I'd be able to you know, see any incoming torpedoes. Plus I have the hydroacoustic ability on here as well, so you know, there is that benefit there too. Some of the British cruisers in the later tiers as well are going to have the ability to have radar, but for the radar you're going to have to forego your smoke ability, I understand. And that is something that is very, very interesting indeed, and probably something I'm not going to do. I don't know how the British cruisers can survive without smoke. You can see even now I have no more smoke. I am taking hits, but you know, I'm trying to angle against the hits incoming, and the hits incoming are from another enemy British cruiser, so yeah, there's that. That being said, British cruisers are highly maneuverable, which is amazing, and really does help out the ships themselves, because you need this maneuverability in order to avoid incoming shots. It's critical in a British cruiser to have situational awareness. Critical. You need to know where all of any potential incoming shots are going to come from, and you need to maneuver around. The British cruisers accelerate incredibly quickly. It's very nice to see, at least this Emerald does here anyway. They don't slow down. They don't slow down very quickly at all, but they do turn very well. You can see I wasn't able to avoid this torpedo, but whatever. They do turn fairly well, and we'll take a look, actually see some good examples of the maneuverability coming up here in this battle. We have another enemy British cruiser off in the distance, and you can see that we're going to start firing at the player here as well. In terms of the guns, at least on the Emerald, I found it's best to, well, I guess it more or less kind of sticks with, you know, the normal gunplay that we have now in game, where while you're ranging in and the enemy might be on the move or turning against you, you know, it's best to just fire one turret at a time and saturate the area, get the hits you can. Whereas once the enemy stops or comes into a good broadside position, you know, yeah, then you want to do full broadside into that player, get as many citadels as you possibly can, and dish out as much damage as you possibly can as well. We can see so far in the battle it's not going very well, right? I have this enemy battleship that I'm looking at now. There's only 2 allied ships remaining, myself and that allied battleship there. British cruisers, at least this Emerald, you can't really rely on a lot of damage to enemy battleships, but you can still do some damage. And with the rapid firing cannons, it does equate to damage per minute. We can see the enemy emerald here off and on our port side, so we're going to launch off some sort of torpedoes here. We do get some nice little hits there as well. And the poor British cruiser, this guy just got really unlucky, right? You can see, you know, some decent shots were coming into me, but for whatever reason, I didn't take any damage or very little damage from those shots, which was pretty surprising. So there we go. We managed to take out the player, but again, it's only myself and my friendly battleship here versus 2 enemy ships. Now we have this enemy, what is that? I think it's a Kaiser, it might be a Koning, off in the distance, right? Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do a whole lot of damage. My allied battleships, I'm really low health, basically one more hit and my allied battleship is gone. But we also have another enemy battleship. It's a Wyoming, and this Wyoming has been hiding the entire battle. So the Wyoming is actually, I'm pretty sure, is on pretty much full health at this point in time. So there's not a whole lot I'm going to be able to do. And, you know, spoiler alert, we do end up losing it. But I still wanted to show it off because it does emphasize some of the, you know, important points about the British cruisers that I was talking about. I mean, the smoke, you saw a great example both when I did it. You know, if you press your smoke button and you are going too fast, if you're at full speed, if you're at 3/4 speed, you will just sail right through your smoke and end up stopping outside of your smoke where the enemy sees you, and you're just going to die right away. It almost happened to me, and we did it to one of the enemy British cruisers. Maneuverability. Very, very good maneuverability going on here with the Emerald, and I mean, Wargaming says the entire British cruiser line, so I'm going to expect good maneuverability out of all of these cruisers, but it does make it fairly easy to avoid incoming shots, right? We can see shots incoming here from the enemy battleship in the distance, and it's fairly easy to bait the enemy. So you turn one direction, you let the enemy fire, then you turn the other direction, so you know none of those shells are going to hit you, because this player is firing in a full broadside. It's a lot easier to avoid incoming shots that are coming from a full broadside than shots that are coming and cascading in or saturating the area. It's just a whole lot easier, and you know, we can see right there another full broadside coming in. We baited him to shoot on this side of us or whatever. Yeah, there we go. Managed to avoid them. Fantastic. So we're doing a decent job, at least avoiding the shots here. But I'm trying to think to myself, you know, what am I going to do? We can see some of the shots that I did manage to land on the enemy battleship, you know, did very little damage, if any at all. So I might be able to whittle away at that guy, but I'm going to have to stay within sight of the player, and I'm probably end up going to die. So I figure, and some of my team does, or will mention here shortly, that the best thing for me to do is probably try and cap the enemy base. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and sneak down there and start capping the enemy base. See what happens. But, I mean, with the light cruisers, my impression now, with the British cruisers anyway, light cruisers, right, is I am enjoying the fact that they're new and that they're a different sort of play style, and that it seems fun because it's different. But I think it's gonna be interesting to see here how these ships develop. I know that already there has been some grumblings on the forums about some of the British cruisers here, and it's true. It's true, some of the points. I mean, the point about how they, you know, essentially what the British cruisers are is a sit and smoke and fire ship, and that is pretty much true. If you have, say, a division of maybe one British cruiser and a few destroyers, a few friendly destroyers, if you guys are rotating your smoke, especially if the British cruiser is using the friendly smoke that's being provided by the friendly destroyers, it is really, really powerful and can be considered little unbalanced, little unfair. Because, I mean, on top of that, you have acoustic sonar, right? So you can just pop your acoustic sonar to be able to see through the smoke of your allies, and there you go. Rapid fire, or, you know, rapidly putting shells down range, doing decent damage, but more importantly, you're actually doing significant damage over time because of the reload and the rapid fire of the cannon. So there is that point. There's also, you know, a point about these British cruisers, because they're so fragile. I don't think that the ships themselves are going to be appreciated as much by as many players. I think the players who are really going to appreciate these British cruisers are players who are fairly high skilled, because it takes a lot of skill to get this thing to work for you. And I'm not saying, you know, oh, I'm such a skilled player that I can just make it work. No. No. I am still learning these British cruisers, and at this point in time it's basically luck. And I'm saying that this battle is fairly lucky as well. I was happy with this battle even though it was a defeat. I was very pleased with the battle, so you know, there's that as well. We can see the enemy Wyoming coming in. Yeah, this player was hiding the entire time, basically playing the whole battleship sniping game, and I despise it so very much, but apparently it worked out for this player, and full health. And now I have to face off against him. So, you know, I do actually manage to make it into the enemy base and start capping it, but I can't continue along the same lines, right? I need to constantly be moving, firing and moving, and waiting to see where the enemy shells are going to come in from. This player, I don't know if it was luck or if the player was aware, but you know, didn't necessarily cascade the shells, and the shells just saturate the area and take me out, and we lose. But still, pretty decent game. I was pretty happy with it, with 64,000 damage, 301,000 credits, 1,500 experience. Not too bad overall, and it was better than some of my other games, because this wasn't the first victory in the ship, obviously, but some of my other games was, you know, die right away and the team ended up winning anyway, so that kind of sucked for a victory. But still, yeah, not too bad. And we walk away with, you know, credits and experience. You can see I'm running my dragon flags and stuff too on the ship, because I'm trying to get the commander, you know, get him as many skill points as he possibly can, as quickly as I possibly can. But anyway, that is today's video. I do hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'm interested to know what your thoughts are on these British cruisers as well. Interested, you know, in, you know, where you are on the tree and what your thoughts are so far. So if you got any of that, definitely leave those in the comments. We didn't even talk about the new reward system and containers, so we'll have to do that in a later video. But for now, discussion about British cruisers. Anyway, do hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to leave any comments you have in the video comment section below. Love reading those and responding back to them. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.